fuck, damn it, don't you?
That was funny the other night when that joke didn't hit and he turned around and went, fuck, come on. That was so funny.
So I did. I finally figured something out like that. I was like, I should just like kind of address the bomb.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, if I
On
did,
the bomb?
yeah, if I did something pretty bomby, then I'd just be like, hey, I bombed everybody. Did you hear that? And then they're like, oh yeah, we did. You dummy. You bombed so much. Okay, cool. We're back. Jesus Christ. Carla did say what's up. She's like, oh, Zach, he's such a sweet boy. Thank you, Carla, for your input. She just got done doing an episode 2 of her show, Carla V Thinks Out Loud.
Yep.
Make sure to tune in anywhere you watch your podcast. Carla V Thinks Out Loud. Anyways, Zach, we're back.
We're back,
and this thing fucked on me a little bit. Anyways, let's switch the topic a little bit. We're talking a little bit more about our life.
Yeah. I have nothing going on. We can
it's okay.
Whatever you want to talk about for however long.
Are you sure? Can I hold that phone?
Yeah, sure. Shout out to my friend Minas Fakrajian, a very funny Armenian comic.
Armenian comic?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So how much diversity did you have in Florida when you were doing with all these different comics? Like did you have people from everywhere?
Yeah, the lowest the number that is the smallest for a group of people doing comedy is and has always been women. Okay, because for what should be obvious reasons, which is that
1/3
men make it difficult
we make it 1/3 more difficult.
I
don't know the exact number, but we do something that's 1/3 better.
It is a positive thing though, to where like seeing more of the comedians who are women getting recognition now. Yeah. Where like what's the Trash Tuesday, which has Esther Pavitsky, I think is her name, and then Kalila, which is
Bobby
Lee's girlfriend.
Yeah,
and then the one who's so goddamn funny. Can't remember her name off the top of my head.
It's not Letterman, right?
Yeah, Annie Letterman.
Annie Letterman.
Yeah, and it just like I think they're kind of proving the point where like if you don't think women are funny, it's because you don't listen to women talk.
Like, or it's just like a weird sexual dynamic thing where it's just like, oh, the men get together and talk, the women get together and talk, they're funny with them, we're funny with us. Yeah. And then when it starts to mix, it's a little, they seem it as weird. So I love you ladies, you guys are awesome. Vagina all day.
So my mom, you might have heard me mention that before, but my mom left my dad when I was 7 for a woman. Mm-hmm. So the majority of my life, I was raised around
lesbians.
Right. Well, I was going to say women, but yeah.
People that drive Subarus.
Yeah. If they had the money for them, they would have been driving Subarus. And then my dad remarried and everything, but definitely just having the perspective of like not viewing women from some sort of other place of like us them type thing. Like just growing up around lots of women made me view them not as
like more
like
of
other.
Yeah,
you know
more of like a balance thing, like a human, instead of it being like, oh, there's 2 human types. Yeah. Except that you're just like, oh, well.
And then you have this problem now where like people are thinking that trying to get that concept across is some sort of political move or some sort of social push, and it's like, no, you're just wrong and you're too stupid to understand that. You know what I mean? Like for the people that like I have a very good friend of mine that like just we were friends when we were kids, and he's like my mission to like make this friend understand what he's wrong about. You know what I mean? Like, because there's stuff that's opinion, but like when you just don't view women,
hey buddy,
in a certain way.
We live in America, buddy. All right. If your friend has a different point of view, get out. Just kidding. But I get what you're saying, because you want to like open people's more of open-minded, their horizon to different aspects of what other people think. Yeah. Because if you have this like very I don't know, maleistic kind of attitude where it's just like, oh, women are like a bottom barrel kind of thing, then you never really truly understand like the importance or like, again, the funniness. Like there's so many times where like people say women aren't funny, and then I'll just like reference one of Carla's jokes. I'll just be like, how can you not say this is funny? Like this is pretty funny. Like
there's been people that have done the thing where like where they'll do, you know, they'll have a man tell a joke that a woman would tell. You know what I mean? Like there's been times where like, because it needs to be kind of shown that like this is a you thing, it's not about women, it's about men perceiving women.
Yeah.
Like we have a weird, long, fucked up culture with a lot of things in this country and around the world, and
that's one of them.
Gender, race, ethnicity, all that stuff. Like everything is so loaded, and everyone is so like conditioned to think a certain way. And of course the irony is like a lot of people who are like, you know, I'm a free thinker. And it's like, you're a free thinker who's trapped in a certain way of thinking, though.
Yeah.
So are you free? Like, I'm not saying that there's not elements of our society that are probably pushing people in directions, like left and right all has their objectives, and I'm sure they'll manipulate things to get.
This is what's this. This is what's that.
Yeah, I wouldn't put that past the left or the right. You know what I mean? Like, but at the end of the day, like, it's not a political. Don't perceive women as a full human being because you can't wrap your mind around it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, not to say that it makes them shitty for it, but like you gotta grow. Like, this is not a pandering thing, by the way. I don't.
Lesbians? Can we just put that on the record? So he was raised by lesbians. He's a very, very sweet boy. Another queer person said that. But no, I get what you're saying. Especially like coming from like me growing up, like I've had that whole mother-father dynamic, and then yet knowing about like gay culture and the LGBT and like knowing about transgenders and stuff kind of like made my dad weary of who I am, because he's just like, oh, how do you know about all this? Oh, why are you gonna dye your hair? Like I know you have this idea of what a man should be,
right,
but what is a man at that point? Like, one of the biggest things that I've ever heard from a philosopher is like, how do you be more manlier than a man?
Right.
Is do something that a man wouldn't do and dress like a girl. Because the most manliest man wouldn't be like a girl. But if you want to beat the most manliest man, then you have to be the girl.
Yeah.
And that blows me away, because it shows like there's this like weird dynamic of like, hey, you know, we have this mindset of like we're two different people, but yet, I mean, there's been so many different stories about the way like life is started and stuff, that we're like one humanistic thing. Like we just got separated because of like some douchebaggy kind of fucking criteria that happened with the world. Like, I don't know, Adam and Eve, or the Zulu nation, or Hinduism. It kind of has this like connection of human beings, and then, hey, we have males and we have females in this thing. I don't know. I'm getting too like religious. And
no, but and that's part of the thing that happens with people, where they get in that binary structure of thought, where it's like, okay, so this is the modern understanding of how men should look, dress, and act, right? And if you go back far enough, and depending on what culture, all these things are always different.
Yeah, they flip-flop so much.
Yeah. Like, if I said to you, like, hey, you know, a real man wears a wig and high heels.
And pantaloons.
Yeah, and you'd be like, what are you talking about? And you're like, well, that's just the standard for a high-class male in Europe in the 1600s.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What do you, like you're, but this is what the understanding I've come to. I'm not trying to convince. Besides my one friend, I'm not trying to convince anybody anything. I'm done with it. Fuck everybody. I'm done with it. Fuck everybody. People are too stupid to be taught any different unless they figure it out on their own.
Okay.
So you can put the information out there, but to spend your time actively trying to convince people to think differently is not how things happen.
See, but isn't that a kind of like a bad thing? Is like we're putting out all of this like information and this data that proves what is going on, but yet you have these people that just don't believe it or just can't take it in as like, hey, maybe we don't understand gender, or hey, maybe we don't understand sexuality, but...
Well, the other thing, too, is that, like, you can tell there's so much else behind it because, like, let's just say, hypothetically, they are right about everything, right?
Yeah.
Let's say based on the way that they think there's only two genders and blah, 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 right?
See, and that's crazy. The way you said they made it seem like you were accommodating to the LGBT, like you're making irony, them, right? They. Yeah. Like, that's so crazy. But so, you guys saw it first here.
But so, like, let's just say that everything that they think is correct actually is, right?
Yes.
Like, if there was some way to prove that fundamental truth. But here's the thing. What the fuck does it matter to you? And it goes back to that same thing. It's a you thing. It makes you feel a certain way. It makes you worried about your kid or your yourself. You know, it's all about how it has affected you because it all, like, it reminds me of like with the kneeling thing with the NFL, right? When that started, what's the dude's name? I'm blanking right now.
I can't remember, but I remember there was this controversy where it's like, why is he kneeling during the national anthem?
Yeah, and everybody, got all up in arms, like, you stand for my flag and blah blah blah, right? But like, I understand that maybe in your mind it affects you this way and you feel this way about it, but at the end of the day, like, it doesn't fucking matter what he did. It's a you thing. You have had this reaction to this now, to where you're going on Facebook and arguing with your relatives or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? So, like, at the end of the day, that whole thing, it's not about patriotism, and it's not about, like, it's about you feeling some type of way, and then you pushing that out at the rest of the world, right? So, like, you didn't make a Facebook post because you were upset about some dude kneeling because you're so patriotic. You might be, and that might be true. But, like, all you have to do to disagree with someone is disagree.
Yeah.
You don't have to actually actively go out of your way to say or do something. Now you're just an asshole.
Yeah, most of the biggest problems that people don't do is just unfollow or block.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they always try to get in the conversation.
Yeah.
And that, again, though, is that the thing where, like, social media and stuff kind of made it that way? Where they just like, hey, we know people like controversy more, and we know that they like to fight. And
we've always been this way, and it's just been under... There hasn't been an apparatus for, like, 1 billion people to constantly release that, and now there is, and it will end this whole country.
You think so?
The Social Dilemma, I don't know if you saw that documentary. The guy that made the like button, they're interviewing him, and they're like, what do you think's the worst possible outcome from all this? And the guy's like, civil war. Like, I don't actually think exactly that.
But you've kind of already seen it, though, right? Like, you see how much of a dividedness there is just by political parties.
Yeah, there's a top tier general that retired, and he said he's scared to death. He's like it's very possible that in 2024 there's enough people that our military is fractured enough to where a good chunk of them might actually join some kind of, more planned January 6th type
Why
thing.
the fuck are you scaring me right now, dude? One of the biggest...
You should all be scared. It's bad, dude.
One of the biggest fears I have, and I hate to say this, and I sound like a racist, but I feel like China is going to take us over, and we're just going to all just go under Chinese control.
It's not racist, and they're not very secretive about the fact that they're totally on board with doing it.
Well, they've had this... I remember doing some research on China and stuff and learning about, like, the dynasties and the way they've gone through history, but they've always thought themselves to be the number one, the country that rules everything.
Yeah, Russia does the same, so have we. But
yeah, that's so crazy, though, is because, like, they've had more of a political stronghold in the world before us, but they lost it, and then they had to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, but they're also... It's the same way that we have romanticized our roots in America. They've kind of romanticized all that.
But they've done it before us, though. See, that's what blows me away, is like the Silk Road, the way that they actually invented more things that we use now.
Right.
Like that.
Well, but the current manifestation of Chinese communism is, I mean... worlds removed from what you're talking about. I'm not saying that it hasn't affected it in some way. Like, obviously, like much like how we still kind of bolster the whole, like, you know, we beat England thing. But we beat England the same way that, you know, we beat the USSR, which is drain their money. Like it just wasn't a viable war for them anymore.
Okay.
Like, England could have just kept fighting. Like, the United States became a country because England was like, this costs too much. Fuck them. Whatever.
But how did it... See, that's what's crazy, too, in my sense, is, like, with neighboring tribes and stuff growing, they never really had this, like, political structure of, like, oh, we have more money or we have more resources. It was just like, if I can die for my country, then my country or my tribe will survive compared to this other tribe. But now, in this economic fucking downfall that we have of just, like, everybody has a different currency of money that controls another part of money, where is it that we have more of a camaraderie now? It's more of, like, the separation of, like, hey, again, that's where I'm so scared. It's like, if we end up becoming more of, like, hey, civil war is happening in our country, China's just going to be like, hey, it's about time we, you know, do something. Let's send some pushing the button. Let's do this.
Well, so in the modern day, it doesn't have to be that. It's money.
Yeah.
So you know, after World War II, the U.S. dollar became the reserve currency of the world. So,
was it after World War II?
Yeah.
Okay.
So in that way, we've had the ability to make so many calls, to be the shot callers for so many things, and now we are. I mean, we were $20 trillion in debt before COVID, like, and you know this. So anyway, the point is that, like, we are the reserve currency for the world, but we don't have
the money
for our reserve. So what's going on now is, this is so fucking out of comedy.
This is welcome to MuseMe TV, everybody. If you don't give a fuck, then tune in somewhere else. Go ahead.
There are state-sponsored actors in Russia and China who have bought up a lot of American corporate shares, and also physical structures, highways, toll roads are owned by majority Chinese-owned companies. But it's communism, so those companies still answer to the government at the end of the day. So it's not like, it's not within an unreasonable concept that at some point, if these debts are called in and we can't pay them, like, what does that mean? What do you got to do when you don't have money? You know, at the end of the day, if you were totally broke and you got all this stuff, you'd be like, well, I got to sell some of this stuff. So, I mean, it's going to get hairy.
So you don't think we put ourselves in a situation where we just control everything? That's where I feel...
no, we already did that, and now we lost it.
No, I don't think we've lost it yet.
Oh, it's happening. It's happening. It's literally happening right now.
So the thing that I feel that America still has over any other country is innovation.
Oh, cool. What about money? Because we don't have it.
We do. We don't. We are the ones that make it.
Yeah.
We regulate.
Well, that's part of the problem. We print a bunch of money every time we need it.
But we still regulate it, though. We regulate how our inflation works. We regulate how other countries, if they're even going to work off of our inflation rates or not. And I've kind of learned this a little bit because of my I've been doing a thing called Forex trading, where I actually take one currency and put money into it and bet it against another currency, knowing that the economy is going to either rise or fall, and then pull it out depending on if I made money off of that currency or not. But most of the time, the United States, every time you back up this fucking dollar, it always finds a way to be the currency that always can lead.
Yeah, it's a house of cards. It's all built on nothing.
But America has that, though. How is it, though, that we have this global financial trading system, but yet America still controls what's going on in that thing?
Right.
That blows me away.
Yeah, well, it's all contingent upon a lot of factors that are extremely malleable. So that means that if enough people or enough countries decide that we're not the reserve currency, like, that was an agreement. It wasn't like we just told everybody. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so the structure of the world will change. Like, it's not, it will not be this way forever. It's great that it is, and hopefully we'll be fucking dead before things get terrible.
I mean,
but I mean, every country goes through the ups and downs. But I mean, when you look at Germany in the early 1900s, I mean, World War I, when they went into that, because turn of the century, everybody was still in that we're gonna land grab thing, which is somewhat, now it's like more of a corporate grab. You don't necessarily, the idea of countries is kind of a over. But
yeah, they still want to land grab, but in a way where it's more like we own this financial land or whatever, compared to like we're just gonna
it's more about resources and companies than physical bordered spaces.
Yeah.
So in the early 1900s, World War I, part of the agreement to their surrender to the surrender of Germany was having to pay to pay back these countries for the war. They basically, in a sense, sued them. In a sense, like part of the agreement is like, you have to give us money because
we all went
everything up. So that put them into debt. They their inflation rates got out of control to the point where you would need a wheelbarrow of money to go buy bread. Like, and then when that country started having problems, of course, you start to blame other people instead of the obvious, which was that your country did this dumb thing. And then someone shows up who's like very, enigmatic and,
hey, this is the way it should be.
And the more simplistic answers that kind of get everybody on board with, because the nuance isn't as interesting and you have to be semi-intelligent to pick that out. And that guy comes out with some ideas and, captivates a nation. And next thing you know, Holocaust, World War II. So my point is that, like, we are at a dangerous crossroads where a lot of people who believe they're doing the right thing by being politically involved are, because of the past couple of years, they're now invested in these things that they normally wouldn't have cared about. Like, none of these people truly understand the actual civics. Not none of these people, but a large chunk of them that are involved in politics now on the right and the left, frankly. But civics is not something that they truly understand, like how laws get passed, how corporations work in tandem with the government, and vice versa. Like, these are things that are happening right now, and they're leading to fascist ideologies that are potentially going to affect our direct lives. And then the monetary policies of this country that have happened for a long time those chickens will come home to roost also. So, and they work in tandem. The more a country has problems and struggles and has these things, the more something like fascism looks good over, because it looks good to people who say, like, oh, we just need someone strong to, like, come in and and then those people, I'm not saying there's going to be another Holocaust. I don't necessarily subscribe to that kind of thing. I'm not saying there's not people who aren't about it, because clearly they exist.
We've seen it.
Anyway, my point is that we're fucked, and it's fine.
So, you really think it's going to be some kind of political change sometime in the future?
People are too fucking stupid to pick apart the nuance of each other's arguments.
See, I love that we think that they are that stupid. But I mean, there has to be.
Let me rephrase.
There has to be a council of wise men in the background, literally talking the same things we're talking about, but in more of a more of an intellectual kind of like, I know what to do in this sense. I know how.
Yeah, they have them, and no one listens to them. Okay.
So they're just a waste. They're just there goes our fucking tax dollars.
Here's what's going to happen. We're all going to be dead one day, and some aliens are going to show up, and they're going to find DVDs of old documentaries that said everything that was wrong before it happened, and said if we don't change something, and they're going to pop it into whatever fucking machine that will read that, and then they'll watch it and go, what happened? They understood. They knew everything. They understood the global warming was coming. They understood that these policies were bad for human beings on the whole.
Two political sides that didn't work. Yeah.
Like, why didn't they just fix it? And then they'll go, oh well, and they'll walk around on our ashes.
So with that
it's a little dark.
So with that being said, do you believe that aliens are out there? Are they among us? Have they not reached us yet? Will they come eventually?
Yeah.
Tell us your thoughts on aliens.
Okay, well, number one, we're probably in a simulation is what I'm shooting for. So
that's yours. That's what you really think.
I don't know.
I mean, I've had those thoughts too, man. I mean, it's crazy.
I hope it's true. I love that idea
of a simulation.
Yeah, I think it's fucking wild. I think it's a cool concept. I think it's much better than just like we all just kind of exploded into existence and then we've just been fucking and killing each other for the past, couple 100,000 years.
You know what blows me away though is that if this was a simulation, it probably wouldn't be our simulation.
Right.
It'd be of somebody else, and we're just background characters. This simulation is so good.
We're a simulation of another simulation.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. We literally have our own lives. We've lived everything, but we don't even know who the main character of the simulation is. We'll never know.
There's something that kind of fucked me up for a minute, which was that like the AI technology that keeps characters in video games now existing and living a life when you're not there, like there's still like things happen even when you're not actively a part of it, right? Like
one of the great games that I play that happens a lot is called Animal Crossing. So you'll literally log off, but you still log in the next day. Your trees grow, your plant life still lives. You have new neighbors, And so recently they shut down the updates for The Sims, and certain versions of it cease to exist. But those characters continue to progress in some way when you leave them be. Yeah.
So I could be wrong about that, but I think that's correct. But even if it's not The Sims, this concept would apply to other video games and stuff like that with any AI technology that's...
Yeah, your life still goes on even though the game is off.
Right. So when they shut down that Sims programming for those early versions, they just disappeared, right? They don't exist anymore. But they don't know that. They just stopped existing. So, not to say that they are actively conscious, but like it is a pretty wild concept to think about, like we don't understand where we came from. Like everything kind of came from nothing, right? And you can believe that as in God created everything from nothing. Who made God? Blah blah blah. We go back and forth. Yeah. Or the idea that there was just gas in the universe that exploded and now we're here. Yeah. But like, it's a pretty wild concept, and it's just as far fetched as any of the other things I just said. The idea that gas was floating around and exploded and now we're here is just as fucking batshit as saying there's some entity out there creating life that was just always there. Like, it's just as batshit as saying that, like, we're a program. There's, like, mathematicians that are finding binary code in, like, everyday existence and things that they didn't even think could have mathematical code. So I think that's pretty interesting. Anyway, it's probably not true, and yes, there's aliens. Of course there's aliens.
But not among us.
I mean, maybe. Who fucking knows?
I mean, I know. I'm just kidding. I don't know. But
I know.
But you've heard those stories, right? I mean, the reptilians. Have you ever heard of
It's my favorite thing to talk about.
You ever heard of like these aliens called the Pleiadians?
Dude, I did. You know who David Icke is?
Yeah, I know who David Icke is, dude. I fucking read the big story of everything.
Dude,
the biggest secret, something like that.
I was doing a show, and I made some reference to, like, I said, I was joking around. I was like, these people who run everything, they're fucking reptiles and they come money. And it usually gets a laugh, but it didn't get a laugh. And I said, do you guys not know who David Icke is? And so I just did the story of David Icke's life leading up to him becoming
who he is,
this conspiracy guy. But dude, what a fucking
wait. So you know about like the beginning, like how David Icke became who he is?
Yeah,
I don't know that.
Oh, dude, it's fucking great.
All right, enlighten me.
The dude. Okay, so the dude was a pro tennis player. He became an announcer. Apologies if this isn't correct. It's been a while since
Dude, I'm totally looking up a YouTube video after this. Yeah. After you leave and be like, a story of David Icke.
So
Looper, tell me about David Icke.
So he just disappeared one day after becoming this tennis star and announcer, and like he was like a semi big deal in especially in the UK.
Okay.
Disappeared one day from the public eye. Showed up
for a long time.
This is in like the 80s, I think, early 80s. Shows back up in I think 94. Shows back up on a talk show, and they're like, "You're here to reveal something to us," and he goes, "Yes, I'm Jesus." And they were like, "Well,"
he said that.
Yeah.
Damn.
And he, I guess he was trying to start some
cult.
I'm not sure exactly what he was doing. He might have just been like, he might have just snapped. I don't know, or he was just like, who fucking knows. So he told everyone he was Jesus. Nothing really came of that. He disappeared again, and he shows up in the late 90s, a few years later, peddling,
with the book of
13 bloodlines of Jesus, the reptilian agenda.
That book stuff is intensely crazy, because like when I was young, I read it and I was just like, how is this all happening? Blah, 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 blah. And then you like start to like do research and you're like, is this real?
Yeah.
How is this getting so much realer? But then you wonder, like, okay, so I didn't know about that stuff about him actually pretending he was Jesus and stuff. Yeah. But he's actually, I've seen some.
He's a modern day Joseph Smith. He could have started the Mormon Church.
So okay, I once saw a video of him talking to like a Zulu shaman though. Is that kind of like one of those aspects where it's like I can just hire an actor just to tell a story that I wrote? Or did he actually kind of meet somebody who was like, hey, let me tell you a story? Because he tells a story about reptilians that kind of like David Icke's, but not really. He's kind of going through his history of the Zulu nation and stuff like that.
I don't think it's too far-fetched to find someone who's also of the same mindset out there, I think, not to say that I wouldn't put it past the dude to like hire an actor to do it, but people like want to believe in something so bad, that guy might have genuinely believed that.
But with those like kind of
or it's true.
Yeah, exactly. With those kind of like accounts, can it be true?
Sure. Yeah, anything can be true. I mean, it's probably not.
No, anything can't be true, dude. Anything. Okay.
I mean, technically speaking,
I cannot change matter physically, so that's not true.
That you know of.
Yeah, well, I know I can't. I know
you can't, but you don't know that it's not possible.
Well, what? Okay, wait. Do I have to watch a documentary to learn how to do it? Like,
well, hold on. So, how did we get here? How is the world in existence?
Well, we don't know.
So somebody created matter from nothing.
Did they?
Something, right?
I don't know.
Theoretically,
I don't know.
Whether it be the universe exploding by itself or because of some
dude that just snapped his fingers.
To be clear, I don't believe in anything.
Any of it. Yeah. Really? Are you an atheist?
I'm totally fine with saying I don't fucking know, and I would never be so presumptuous as to act like I do.
But with all like the information that comes out, the more we start learning about life, does it kind of give you more questions about it, or are you just like still, I don't give a fuck?
I'm very interested in it, and I love learning about it and talking about it. But at the end of the day, if you're asking me where do I actually like, where do I fall under any of this, it's literally just, I don't fucking know, and neither do you. And if you're going to pretend like you do, you're full of shit. You do not. It makes, again, it's a you thing. It makes you feel better to feel like you know something. That's the same thing with the conspiracy world. I was like heavy into the conspiracy world. Dude, in 2007, I was just sitting alone in a video store watching YouTube before anybody was regulating it, and you could just put anything on there. And I went down the fucking rabbit hole. And then I watched some video where this guy's like, the towers weren't there, they're a hologram, and I'm like, oh, I need to pull myself out of this.
Dude, I kind of feel the same way. Like back then I was in this deep rabbit hole where I was just like, the Russians released a secret document where it actually has an alien race book from A to Z, and they start naming aliens. There's like 37 A's. Like, how is there 37 aliens with the first letter A, and we haven't even got to Z yet?
Yeah.
So that blows me away. But who knows? Like, we don't know about this. Like, one thing that blew me away is, the group, the Blue Man Group, right?
Yeah. So, all aliens. Go ahead.
Well, okay. This is what blew me away, though. I watched the stupid video, and they talked about a group of aliens calls themselves the Blue Man Group.
Uh-huh.
Well, not the Blue Man Group. They call themselves the Blues.
Yeah.
Have you ever...
The Blues, the Greys, the
reptilians, the whatever, the Pleiadians, so many genders.
I'm not saying all this isn't possible, by the way. I'm just saying.
No, he's saying it's not possible. He does not believe in any of this.
I'm just saying that
it's probably a simulation.
Yeah, that'd be dope. There is aliens, and they're also in the simulation. Like, they're not real, and neither are we. But we're all here. That's dope.
I think that would make more sense too, because if it was a simulation and it's kind of like what we see in computer rendering, you can add stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So as this simulation keeps going, like, hey, guess what? We ended up discovering how to actually make a supernova, and you can see it.
Did you see that clip of Keanu Reeves talking about? He was talking about his friend's daughter had never seen The Matrix, and so he kind of explains the plot to her, and she goes like, and he goes, "Isn't that cool?" And she's like, "Yeah, but I wouldn't want to know." And he's like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, I wouldn't want to know if I was in I would just want to keep living in the simulation." And he was like, you know, it's this interesting difference in, I think it's a lot of it is like a cultural age difference thing. Like I think a lot of people that grew up in the 80s and 90s have this whole like, we gotta break free from the control of these people. The Rage Against the Machine song come to life. Like we gotta, you know, fight the power and all this stuff. And then I think there is a thing where people would rather stay in it. And, you know, looking at it, I kind of get it. I'm like, yeah.
Well, the way that it's perceived on the Matrix,
fucking tunnels fighting robots.
Yeah, the way
back in the thing.
Fuck Matrix. I don't want to live like that. But if it was more of like the sense of like, have you ever seen the movie Ready Player One?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, you know, it's kind of like the life we live now, but if we go into VR, it's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm okay with that. That sounds more like, hey, I can in and out whenever I want to, not where like.
But
hey,
if it was the Matrix,
I would fucking hate it.
See, that's the thing about.
I wouldn't want to leave.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I would always want to be there.
Yeah, because fuck, this sucks.
This is hard. Why am I living here?
Yeah, I think, dude, if you could, the best part about that is that the Matrix is even more like somehow utopian or like basically the Matrix implies that there's a real us somewhere. When like that's probably not true. If we're if we're in a simulation, there's not a body of us somewhere. We're code.
Yeah, see, and that's
it's even wilder than the Matrix.
That's what always blows me away too. Is like, even if this was a simulation, what makes it say that it's our simulation? Because if it's not, then guess what? You are just a random thought in this fucking program. You're not anything like, oh, this is totally planned out. This is the most amazing. You are, no, dude. I am literally a written script. Everything I'm saying right now is fucking written. And that would be horrible. But then again, technology might get smart enough where it talks to itself.
Right.
Like you see it now, you put an Alexa and a Google and they start talking to themselves. Like that's kind of like the same aspect of like if we were in a simulation, programs talking to each other.
Yeah, consciousness.
Yeah, we know each other. We know that this is the program and we start interacting with the program as if it wasn't a program.
By the way, economics, comedy, aliens, fucking simulation, and I'm not even high.
Wait, did we talk about economics?
Yeah, a lot.
No, just because I mentioned China doesn't mean that they were taking over the world. No, I'm just kidding. I don't remember the conversation we were having.
Really? You should get that checked out.
I know. It's really bad. It's like a Frankie Muniz kind of thing where I like have short-term memory loss, but I don't really have it. I just don't pay attention.
Does he have that?
Yeah. Have you ever seen that?
Is that how they got him to do Agent Cody Banks too?
I know,
it's the same movie.
Hey, buddy, you got this.
Shout out to Rancid for being on the credits of that.
Was it? Was there? Were they?
Yeah, I had to play it when it came out in the video store.
Oh, nice.
So I would always hear the Rancid song at the end.
Like,
if I fall back down, I want to pick it back up again. Yeah.
So, yeah, speaking of all this crazy conspiracy stuff, you're also a musician.
I wouldn't call it that. I play a little guitar, though, yeah.
You've played guitar?
Yeah. I've played in a couple of bands, and yeah, I got to a point in like 2015 where I was playing with friends of mine in a band, and I just couldn't commit to dates for shows because I was just then starting to get booked on more stuff with comedy instead of just doing mics and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was still doing mics, trying to get better, and like meeting all the people in the different communities, different comedy scenes. So it got to a point where I was like, okay, well, I gotta like they were like, no, you can just play whenever you're free, and I was like, no, you guys should have someone that can actually make practice the shows and
make it and stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, I can barely make the practices and I can barely make the shows. It's like, don't do this to you.
What would you consider the genre you guys played?
Just like border between rock and punk, just kind of,
power chords.
Not like not like pop punk, but like
yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm so mad. I don't know. I'm just trying to make up a song. I'm trying to think. What was the band name?
Less Than a C was the last band I played with. Yeah.
So how many bands did you play in?
3 different bands. The first one was just it. We wound up playing a fairgrounds show, and the guy that ran the thing, the lead singer, guy that wrote all the songs, and I just at some point I was like, oh, I hate this. I don't like the music. Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just doing it for something to do. I was like, so got out of that, and then kind of had the same experience with another band where it was like, and it was also a thing where it was like just not people I wanted to be around. It's like if there wasn't cool people in comedy and it was just the people you didn't like. That's how it felt, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like you wouldn't keep showing up. And
then, if you wouldn't stay to hang out. It'd just be like, do my set, I'm out.
Yeah. It's like it would feel like the comedy's bad, the people are bad, what the fuck is this,
Yeah.
But yeah, the band actually they started playing again recently after, taking time off from COVID and everything. But so they're playing again, which is super cool, but they never, so I played
bass, right?
No, I played just like rhythm and some leads depending on the song, and then backup vocals,
nice,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Wow. We did a cover of.
I was in Disturbed. I was trying to.
I did a cover of Disturbed. I was that vocal part. That's cool, man. Hell yeah. Yeah, music's fun. I've been playing for quite a while.
Yeah, I could tell. You're been pretty good.
Yeah, and I'm still here. That's the worst.
It's okay. Another thing you got to keep in another thing to keep like in perspective with the world is that like making money, making a living off being a performer is like a relatively new thing. Like unless you were busking back in the day where you're playing out in public for money, like.
But I see it more as like a Sebastian Bach or a Mozart kind of thing. Like, those guys were the highest prestige in that culture. Like,
right, but there was only like 7 motherfuckers doing it. You know what I mean?
I know. There's only really good motherfuckers that are doing it here.
Well, that's not true though. There's a lot of people who are really good at playing. I mean,
I know. I'm like,
go to New Orleans.
There's prodigies at the age of 7.
Go to New Orleans, and every street has someone playing fucking incredible music, and no one will ever know who they are.
Right. That's them.
Except for like when people put it on Snapchat when they're walking by him or whatever. But like, I had a dude follow like every time I'd walk by, because he was on this one corner where it was like you would go by, and he was playing Stranglehold. And is this old black guy just playing Stranglehold. It was so fucking good. It's like better than Ted Nugent playing it.
Because he didn't invent it.
Yeah. But he's playing it on like an acoustic and just like got this incredible voice. And I just remember like I'm walking by this guy. Now, granted, I don't know how the fuck he played that song that much, or if he just saw me and was like Ted Nugent. Which
he's like, I feel it.
Also, not a fan of that concept, but like
if you look it, you got to just go with it.
Yeah. No, but yeah, like it's crazy to think though that like for the majority of human existence, like most people could not be a performer of some kind or a musician or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like. Yeah. So it's kind of something that we got to keep in mind when we like kick ourselves for that. We're like, fuck. I mean, really, like it's only the last 100 years.
That's a long time.
It's really not.
That's my lifetime.
Yeah, but like
in a lifetime, you can change something.
Okay, think about it like this then. So, what we think of as gigging musicians, right? Like that alone. On a larger scale, has really only existed for about 70 years. On a large scale.
Okay.
Which is also like, I mean, that's one human lifetime. You know what I mean? Like, humans have been around for a long fucking time. The planet has been around. So when you put it in perspective, like time-wise, there's been paid musicians for about 15 seconds of the existence of the world.
Yeah. Because it makes sense because there's so many analogies where it's just like, I think the dinosaurs are farther away to Cleopatra than the iPhone is to her.
Yeah.
And that's kind of crazy because, like, those are so much of a big gap in time. You think about Cleopatra and you're just like, God damn, I can never even comprehend a time that far away.
Yeah.
But it's closer to the iPhone than dinosaurs, which is even farther back in the spectrum that we're trying to think of as time. Like, and don't even get me started on what is time, because like there'll be so many times where I know I have to go to work. I have like 10 minutes and I'll play guitar and it feels like a fucking hour.
Yeah.
But that's just because of my perspective of time. Like it feels like I changed it because of just around me and stuff. Is that, I don't know, am I kind of going more of like a metaphorical kind of thing where it's like, that's like the way the mind works, is like we perceive it a certain way, and then when you can actually alter it with whatever substance or any different kind of thing, is this really what we think life and the world is?
So semi-related, but I think I heard this on the last podcast on the left, but where they were talking about, somebody said like, oh, time's a construct, and then one of the other guys was like, yeah, but appointments are real and you were late.
You didn't make it.
But no, yeah. So I think that's probably the closest thing to what we'll ever actually experience as time travel. Will be more like, it won't be you physically in another space. It's like you can mentally
make it seem like it's taking longer,
yeah,
or something.
Or if there is a way to go into the past, it would only be in like a remote viewing kind of sense. Like you physically won't be there, but your psychological or your psyche could be there.
Even something about history though kind of blows me away, because like we go off of it because of what was like written down, but yet any accounts of history, we weren't there. Like you can try to be like, oh yeah, I get it because of how it was written and stuff, but we were not there. So how much did it really happen?
Well, there's a great thing again that last podcast I covered about the plague.
Wait, what podcast were you watching?
No, last podcast on the left.
The last podcast on the left.
Yeah,
that's what it's called.
Fantastic podcast. You never? Wow.
I know, right? I know.
It's like they're one of the 3 people that got the $60 million Spotify contracts.
Oh,
it was
really?
like them, Joe Rogan, and Call Her Daddy, I think is the other one.
Oh.
Anyway, okay. So they were doing their like a 4-part series on the Black Plague, right? And they were talking about where some of these anti-Semitic things come from and how they relate to QAnon today, and like how it all kind of ties together. And they were talking about how back in the day, the early Christians, you weren't allowed to loan money out at interest because it was seen as taking advantage of your fellow Christian. So you couldn't loan money to a Christian, or anybody, I guess, because it would be like a bad thing to do. So the only people who were able to loan money were Jews, because they weren't Christians. So you could, if you needed money, you could go to
a Jew.
And you could say, I'll pay you back at this interest rate. But also, those Christians saw those Jews as outsiders because they were a different religion, and so because of that, I'm starting to think, so because they viewed them as outsiders, they treated them differently, and they would go and they would take out these loans, right? And especially like business people, right? And influential people in these towns. And when something like the Black Plague would happen, or any kind of tragedy, they would say, "Oh, it's because of them. They worship the devil. They worship Satan. They eat babies. They fuck kids. They do all. They say all the they drink blood. So they all these terrible things, right? To say that, and then they whip these people into a frenzy, and then they would go and burn down people's houses, kill people.
The village or whatever.
So they would go and they would, it was blame the Jews, and then they would go and kill these people. And the reason that now the average person probably would have fell for it, right? Oh yeah, it's them. But the people at the top of that who were financially invested in making sure they had to kill the people so they didn't have to pay back these loans.
They knew.
Yeah, and they're literally using this, tactic of manipulation to get these people to kill these people so they don't have to pay back this money. So it was this really interesting way and it's not just that, like it's always been a tactic of people way back to, the Greeks to say that the other side, it's just, you say the most heinous thing possible about them. They do this to their own people so that you can manipulate them. Yeah. But specifically where the anti-Semitic thing comes in is the only people who could loan out money were Jews.
The Jews.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And and that was the other thing I was going to say. They wouldn't give them regular jobs, so they literally figured out, because like they'd be like, oh, they're different, we don't want to hire them for whatever, business they had. So they like learned to mint coins. They learned to make money literally in order to have a business, like to not starve.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the people that, they'll say like, oh, the Jews run the world. And it comes from this concept of like, oh, they used to print the coin, the money that everybody was trading, because it was something they could do without having to go to someone else.
Oh.
And then they would later get blamed for that.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
What was the podcast called again?
Last Podcast on the Left.
The Last Podcast on the Left.
They mostly cover like true crime stuff, but they talk about UFOs, and it's one guy's a writer and the other two are comics. Like I think they all did stand up at some point, but I know one of them was in a sketch group called Murder Fist. Anyway, it's very good. I'm plugging the biggest podcast, one of the biggest podcasts.
Well, that's what's so crazy is that you don't know about all of these things that end up coming out. Like there's so many times.
So much.
Yeah, there's so many times where I will throw on something at my work and they'll just be like, "What is that?" And I'll just be like, "Oh, this is this podcast." They're just like, "Really? That guy has a podcast?" I'm like, dude, really? You didn't know? You didn't know that the Ghetto Boys have a podcast, or like.
Well, I guess we should assume everyone has a podcast
at this point. At this point.
Yeah, me and Kendra are about to start one, I think.
So. What is it? What are you guys going to call it?
I don't know. We haven't figured it out.
No, that's not. It's going to be a failure.
I would love to call it Our Love Is Disgusting, but Ray Kemp Ray Kemp already took it. The guy who was Tim Dillon's original co-host way back in the day, and now he's just a guest every now and then. Yeah. But yeah, so we're gonna do that.
Nice. That should be fun.
Yeah,
I would love to have you guys as a duo guest sometime.
That'd be great. Yeah,
and be like hear all the rants and all the good stuff.
We can have a funny me on sometime too. I feel like this is a very serious me.
No, this is you.
I can switch gears though.
This is you. This is who we wanted. We wanted a Zach Bennett, not Zach Bennett.
I can be full of shit though. I got it. I'll switch it.
I don't want full of shit. Okay. I don't want you to tell me that I'm a liar. I don't want you to tell me that I'm anti-Semitic, that I believe in the Jews. Like, I don't want you to tell me all this stuff. I want you to be you and genuine.
I'm Jesus.
Yeah, like, I don't know if you guys know this, but I came on this podcast just to reveal that I'm Jesus Christ. Not from the Roman Catholic, but from the Latter-day Saints. I don't even know if that there was so much of a difference back then. Like when I was growing up, I only knew it was Christianity, but then I got more older and it was like, holy fuck, there's like these Roman Catholics, there's like these fucking Methodists, there is the Lutheran Church. Like, why is there so much sub-genre denominations of one thing?
Do you want me to give you the answer? Because I have the historical answer.
I mean, why am I here if I'm not ready to learn? I mean, come on. Jesus Christ, people. Tell me why we have all these different aspects of one religion.
So, the biggest issue that came out of that was...
Just to let you know, Zach is a stand-up comedian from Florida. He's giving us really great insight right now. So
I was going to be a history teacher when I decided I didn't want to be a performer anymore because I got all in my own head about it and was just working overnights at a job, and I would just study history.
So was it like a, hey, I want to be a performer. God, my performing's not working. Maybe I should just be
such a large hill to climb, and
you
people
still wouldn't know you.
Well, or people do know you, and it's for something that's not necessarily
what you want to be known for.
Sure, yeah, but I mean, at the time, I mean, it was like 2014, right before I actually started to kind of get into clubs and get booked on shows out of town and stuff, and like, I just didn't know what to do. I was just like, I hadn't really met the other scenes. I didn't even know they were really out there at that point, and it was like right before all that happened, and I was was working overnights at I used to work at a homeless shelter for families, and I was working overnights, and just like you don't really see or talk to anybody the whole time, so I would just watch documentaries and read and just try and stay awake.
Nice.
And so
that took a lot of your time for like learning stuff like this.
Yeah, because I've always been interested in trying to be knowledgeable about things, but then I was like, oh, I could just teach that to people. Like, I like teaching also. Anyway, so okay, so
why is there so many subgenres of one religion?
So first of all, the concept of whether or not there was an actual Jesus Christ is a heavily debated concept historically, and look it up. There's a bunch of information about how that may or may not even be a real thing. The Christ is a phrase from Old Greek that is referring to an anointed one. That's what Christ means. So the idea that... Anyway, watch that pretty skewed documentary. What is it called?
What, Zeitgeist?
Yeah, watch Zeitgeist. They cover it in the first quarter.
That was like, what, 2009?
2007, yeah.
That came out so long ago.
Here's the thing.
It did change me, though. It did change me.
Here's the thing. The monetary part's correct, and most of the religious part's correct, however heavily contested, and there is a lot of errors in it, so don't take it as truth. Read up on it yourself. The 9/11 stuff is a little heavy-handed. There's a lot of fishy shit, but the idea that there's not enough proof to go around with a bullhorn in New York like Alex Jones did. Anyway,
but they did at least want to have you open-minded to what could be the scenario,
right? Yeah, but it turns out if you put a bunch of music behind anything, it's pretty believable.
Did you? So did you see the other ones then?
Oh yeah.
So Zeitgeist 2, and then
there's 4 of them.
So I haven't seen the 4th one then.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
It's not going to change my life.
It's like the pitch for the utopian society, basically. Like,
oh no, I think I did see it then because it's like
maybe that's the 3rd one. I forget.
No, I think it is the 3rd one. Yeah. The 3rd one is where they're like, "Hey, this is the new futuristic society. It's built like something stupid shit like that."
Maybe there's only 3. If there's a 4th one, maybe it's a diss track. He's like, "Here's the vibe."
Guess what? We don't believe in any of this anymore.
No, but yeah. So any of that, I do not outright promote Zeitgeist, but there are elements of that are accurate, which is that there is a historical conversation to be had about whether or not there was a Jesus.
And that's technically, just one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's technically was the first time that I actually really heard any of Carlin's material.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I never really knew, but he was ranting, and I was like, what is this? What is going on here?
I grew up on that.
See, that's crazy. Yeah. I didn't know anything about stand-up at all until I was probably maybe like 14, 15-ish. Like, my dad knew maybe one dude. I remember him watching this guy named he's a Mexican dude. He's really, really famous.
Fluffy?
No. Before him.
George Lopez?
Before him.
Not Mencia.
Before him. Paul Rodriguez.
Oh, yeah.
He would love that guy, dude. And I was like, I never really understood it and stuff. I was like, what? It's stupid. Why are you watching this, Dad?
Pretty adult.
This makes no sense. And it was Spanish, too, because my dad is a straight Mexican. Like, he doesn't speak he does know English, but he doesn't speak it. So I have to speak to him in Spanish. And then growing up was like, how is this funny? Like, I don't get why all these people are laughing at this guy right now.
Right.
But then growing up and stuff, I kind of understand it a little more. But that's one of those things too where I'm just like,
that's
holy
funny.
Shit. Anyway.
All right, so anyway, I knew that was going to go off on a tangent, but it was fun. Okay, so the point is that the early days of Christianity, especially after the fall of the Roman Empire, where everything was a mess, and everybody who wrote or said something in relation to Christianity, if you wrote it down and got some followers, you were now a school of thought behind that. So there was really it was everything that's in the Bible, or the New Testament, was not everything that was originally out there. So they had this thing called the Council of Nicaea, which I might be pronouncing that wrong. Fuck off. And that where they basically got everyone together from the different schools of thought and the different writings, which, it was 40 plus different conceptualizations of Christianity and what it could be. So part of the reason they were having this council to decide this was the fact that they needed to create a power structure of some kind based around the religion because it was becoming such a big thing. But it was also causing problems where they were stepping on each other's toes, and there was arguments like whether or not the Virgin Mary was someone to be revered or if she's just a side character in the story of Jesus.
Yeah.
Whereas Catholicism took that on. A lot of other schools of thought were like, we're not going to involve that. So, that cat okay?
I don't know, right there. Great. It looks like I'm going to clean up a hairball when I get done here.
So anyway, so they had this Council of Nicaea, and what they wound up doing was, I mean, it wasn't like they all got together and just went, great, and shook hands. Like, it was an agreement with the people who were at the top of society who believed in those things, and those are the books that got chosen to go into the New Testament, which means that everyone else, if they didn't agree with that, was considered a heretic, and they murdered those people. Like the Gnostics, they like hunted down and murdered Gnostics because
so there could have been a potential of more books.
Oh, there is. Yeah, the Dead Sea Scrolls was one of the first times when those were discovered, where they went like, oh, there's different schools of like there's different, like the book of Judas.
She wants to go outside.
Yeah.
Promote some shows, buddy.
Yeah, you want me to plug? Hey guys, it's Zach. I'm here to promote some shows. Let's see, what do we got coming up? If you're in the New Mexico, that's fucking huge. If you're in the Albuquerque area, you could see me on February 2nd at a Revel. So come to that. It's Wednesday, February 2nd, I believe. Yeah, it's gonna be great. What does it cost to get into Revel? How much is that?
Depends. $5 are usually the showcase.
That's nothing. $5. You could borrow that from somebody. You could probably just get it. You know, you don't even need to pay it back. People forget about that. $5. You could just have $5 probably, you know, and then come to the show.
Oh yeah,
February 2nd.
You heard that here, folks. Here live on MuseMe TV. Second part 2, because the other one fucking got canceled. Anyways, I got a few people in the comments gonna say what's up to them. Dimitri, right? I love this conversation. I think that was like an hour ago. Thank you very much. J Dub says no mask and he's coughing all over. Quit it.
It's okay. We both have COVID.
Yeah, very, very, very prominent with COVID nowadays. Necro Butcher says, "Get that man another Fresca." And Dimitri again says, "I need a book list from Zach."
A book list, yeah. That's
technically all these videos are on YouTube, so go ahead and just YouTube all this stuff. Just kidding. Okay, so back to the story.
Yeah, so when they held the Gnostics is just one example, but anybody who didn't agree, if they didn't get on board, they were considered a heretic, and this is when the church was coming to power because the Roman Empire collapsed and the power vacuum was being filled by religion. So before it was the structure of the act. So when the Roman Empire fell, it was replaced by the Holy Roman Empire, which was the church.
Okay.
So,
but then where did that structure change?
Right. So when so it was only Catholicism for a long time, but there were so many people, like anything else. I mean, it is a business to some extent, and like any business, there are people who are going to be taking advantage and trying to make as much money as possible, and
make more.
Yeah, and so one of the things that was happening, I mean, there's a long list that Martin Luther famously hammered onto the doors of the church, but he basically, it was his laundry list of things that the church was doing wrong, one of which was basically telling people they could buy their way out of hell and be in purgatory. Like, you can't get into heaven. You can't buy your way into heaven. You got to do that on your own. But, at
least you don't have to go to hell.
At least and if you pay us some money, we'll write this piece of paper that says that you can. You're free. And I think, I could be wrong, I think that was like the last straw where it was like, hey, there was a lot of people who,
what else are you going to take from us?
And this is across the majority of Europe. Yeah. So and there were people who, I mean, this is directly affecting people's lives. It's not just like how we have it today, where it's like, you know, go to church, don't go to church, whatever. I mean, the church ran society. So once he did that, that's where you get Lutheranism from Martin Luther. But all the different sects that broke off of that, which Protestantism, which is what divided up. There was a point in the history of England where they actually, the monarchy was overthrown by just a regular ass dude named Oliver Cromwell, who, I mean, not a regular ass dude, he was like high up in society, but he led an army of people who were Protestants who they took over the entire country. They like ran it. Yeah. And it was very short lived, but it was enough to motivate other people. And I mean, that's where you get the divide between Northern and Southern Ireland, where they had, you know, Catholic and Protestant, North and South, where it was like, I mean, up until the mid 90s, where they were still basically in a protracted occupation of another country.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's why Northern Ireland had their capital was Belfast. It was like England owned that. And they have their independence now. But yeah, it's fucking crazy. But the people who live there grew up in that, and they still see themselves as different from Southern Ireland, which is crazy because, you know, when we're here, we're like, hey, you're all just white people. Relax.
Yeah, I know, right? And yeah, because I kind of see that too in like different European countries as well. Like, you know a little bit about the black metal scene, right? Yeah. In Norway, the way that like they kind of condemn Christianity and stuff, and all based off of like their Viking ancestry and stuff like that. That blows me away too, is because like they don't even know that history though. Like, why are you even trying to bring back something you don't even know? Like, I mean, I'm whatever, I get it. Odin, Thor, they seem cool and all, but I mean, it's crazy.
And I think it's sort of like how we have the rebellious attitude because of the, you know, fuck you, I'll throw your tea into the ocean type thing, you know?
It's that kind of thing.
Yeah, like we don't really give a fuck about tea anymore, but we still care about taxes, you know what I mean? Like, okay. I think it's that kind of thing where it's like sort of ingrained, you know? Like, we're always gonna...
Then how did it spread so much then? Like, to the point where like you have something like Mormons or the Lutherans or
a fantastic again, apparently what I do on podcasts now is promote Last Podcast in the Left.
not other podcasts, just one.
Yeah, if we talk history, they do some deep dives on occasion with some stuff that is really well researched, okay. And they pay researchers, so they're actually getting like a product as opposed to like if you just listen to a podcast where it's just like us shooting the shit. You know, I'm gonna regurgitate the information I've heard, and it's probably gonna be within some kind of like maybe 50% accuracy to what's actually being.
Yeah, like it's interesting, but is it true?
Yeah, my parents did a lot of drugs. Like, what could I have?
I mean, it actually just affects what's going on now.
So wait, what? Drugs. So they do like a 4 or 5 part series on Mormonism that is fucking great. It's literally just a Ponzi scheme the guy started. Like, it's not. I mean, it's if you look at it's not one of those. It's not an opinion either. Like, it's an easily researched thing.
Yeah, like South Park portrayed the episode perfectly. Like the way they made him look, like everything. Like, hey, I'm this. How old was he? He was a young little kid and just found these golden plates and like.
He claimed to have. He was a teenager. He had claimed to have found the plates. They were, you know, of course they disappeared when he tried to do something like
or show some people or something like that. Yeah.
And I mean, it chased out of where he was at in New York. Like, not like, hey, I think I'm going to leave. Like, they were like, you have to go. We're going to kill you. Yeah. Like, the history of Mormonism is so not in any way religious or spiritual. Like, one dude made a bunch of shit up and then added it onto the Bible. I mean, it's crazy. It would be...
Because it came out way later, too, right? Like, Mormonism is, like, one of the latest religions, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking. I mean, the Christianity in its current form wasn't consolidated until around the same time as oh my fucking god, dude, my brain is melting. What the fuck is the name of the religion that Muslims practice? Islam. Okay. Yeah, those and that's why they're so similar in a lot of ways. If you read, there's the majority of the Quran has
similarity.
I mean,
but you see that in a lot of religions, right? A lot of different religions. Like, that's what I loved about the Zeitgeist, is how they showed, like, literally, like, hey, this is the same thing as this one. The god,
12 disciples.
Yeah, even the god, like Dionysus, is the same thing as Jesus, just because he was the god of wine and fertility, and same thing with the cross and his background and shit like that. So
yeah, and again, highly oversimplified in Zeitgeist, but the information is somewhat accurate that it all goes back to sun religions based on the Egyptians. Like, it's not there, it's all heavily attached to that, and everything that's added on to it is added on because of time that's gone by. So your sentimentality and the way you view things changes, but you have a base structure. You know what I mean?
Because you could always perceive it as like an animal or something. But as time goes on, it could become a different animal. Yeah. Even though it's still perceived as like, the lion of the East, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, now we're talking about a horse. So
yeah,
I get what you're saying.
But yeah, fuck, what were we talking about?
We're talking about how Necro said hi, Johnny. No, we were talking about how the branching off of these religions, but yet still, like, some of them that came way later than others, like the Mormonism is one of the one of the newest ones still.
You know what I never thought of until recently?
I want to bring up Scientology.
Picking apart Scientology is just an extension of Mormonism.
Yeah, but
it's just another guy who found a loophole to make money.
But to be able to persuade people to believe that is what blows me away, especially when you have people that in I don't want to say Tom Cruise is like a high authority or anything, but when you get somebody like that believing in it, then you have all of his other peasants.
There's a lot of blackmail involved.
Oh, is it?
Like a lot of cults do. When you come in, they do these initiation ritual things where you have to tell them, and with Scientology, they record it. Like, they actually use recorders, and part of you growing spiritually is to say all the bad shit you've ever done. So they record these people saying that they also, know everything about their lives. So, you could easily
make it seem like, like, hey, we knew that blah, 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 thanks to the thetan levels in your brain, and you're just like, oh my God.
Well, it's tough to leave a religion when they're like, hey, if you leave, we're going to say this shit, and we have it recorded. Same shit that intelligence agencies do, where they...
Epstein did.
Manipulating, powerful people. So the concept of... So what I was going to say is, I never even thought about the words Church of Latter-day Saints. They're referring to Joseph Smith as a saint. They're saying the Church of a Latter-day Saint. Like, Latter-day is later.
Okay, yeah.
Like, post the original saints.
Latter-day.
They're literally saying that, he's a saint for creating...
He's a saint that came after everyone else. The later-day saints.
Well, clearly, God spoke to him. So he's got to be, right?
That's weird, though.
Yeah.
I've spoken with a religious figure a few times, but you don't see me trying to start a
God. Did you speak to God?
I don't know if it was God or not. That's the thing. Like, I cannot tell the difference between a blur that's just...
Might have been God.
And then he tells me, like, young path is not what you find. I'm just kidding. I'm trying to do like a Yoda reference. That's horrible. Oh, man. Well, Zach, do you know what? We've been here for like 3 hours, dude.
Yeah, man, we really, I think we hit the midnight mark, didn't we?
Even though dude. I am so disappointed that I have to put this as a part 1 and part 2. It's so sad. It's so shitty. Yeah, that'll be all right. Shout out to everybody that was still in the chat. We got some people still on here.
Appreciate you guys.
You guys are awesome. He did mention a few shows that you have coming up, but where else can they find some of your stuff?
Social
media, plug everything you want. I mean, I'm lazy. I'm not going to put any descriptions of you in my description. Besides, this is Zach, and he's from Florida.
Yeah. Zach Bennett, ZACH. It's Zach Makes Good Choices on Instagram.
Okay.
And then...
Do you have a website?
Had one. Got to restructure it. I had a bunch of merch worked into it for a company that I was trying to open opened it for comedy, changed it to just merch.
For
now
business.
I got to change it back to comedy. Because, pandemic. So anyway, yeah.
That'll be coming soon.
Yep. The pandemic will be coming. Yeah, don't follow me on Facebook. I won't accept your friend request if I don't know you, because why would I?
Is that what you do? Is that what you do?
Yeah, I don't accept people's. And when you first start comedy, you think you have to be friends with everybody so you can build a fan base, and then you realize that Facebook is not the place for that.
You're like, I should have done it everywhere else.
Yeah. So no one cares about Twitter unless you're famous. So don't follow me there. Who gives a fuck?
But what is it? Zach Makes Better Choices.
I don't even know, dude.
Zach Bennett.
I genuinely don't know my Twitter because no one gives a fuck about it.
We'll find it.
Anyway, yeah, Instagram. Zach Makes Good Choices. It's all underscores between the words.
So that's probably where you're going to see the most.
Yep.
You have a Twitch. You have a LinkedIn. OnlyFans. Come on, man. It's 2022, bro.
Well, I mean, honestly, what else am I supposed to have realistically? Beyond an Instagram.
You should have a Tumblr. You have a Tumblr? Remember that? Those were the thing. That was the shit back then.
Yeah, I remember Tumblr.
You have a Yahoo account. You don't even have to have an email. Just have to have a Yahoo account.
I definitely have a Yahoo email.
Okay, there we go. What else you gotta have?
I just had it too long to get rid of it. So much shit's connected to it now. I gotta keep it.
That's my problem too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, can I transfer to another email? It's like, yeah, but this is connected to it, unfortunately.
Fuck. Yeah, dude, Instagram's the only thing you really need. I mean, I got a TikTok, but who gives a fuck? Like, it's crazy. My TikTok numbers, I think one of my videos has like 180 views. On Instagram, my biggest one is like 3,700, and on Facebook, I have one that's like almost 10K. Like, nothing on TikTok. I thought TikTok was supposed to be the one where you like,
yeah, it blows up faster.
Yeah, and everything else is not like. Mine's all backwards.
Yeah.
Like Facebook.
Like, why am I doing so good on Facebook right now?
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's stupid. Like, I have a Facebook page, and it's like, why does it have 15,000 followers? I need that on Instagram. I need that on Twitter.
Dude, I had somebody... Did you see that clip where I was talking about the working out?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I had some dude comment. He said, he goes, the joke is that I'd rather suck a dick than have to work out because I just don't like it. And then this dude's like, that's pretty sus. I'd rather just work out. And I was like, you're taking this joke literally? Like, you know what's sus? Taking jokes literally.
That's a good one, yeah.
But then I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to I just deleted the thing. I'm not going to.
Yeah, because you know that literally is going to be like a 20-page thread that you're just like, great, I'm still talking to this guy.
Well, part of me was like, hey, interaction,
that's always
those numbers up. And I was like, I don't give a fuck, whatever.
Especially when like someone like me sees that, I'm just like, check this out, guys. Zach's over here having a Facebook war with somebody. Hopefully he doesn't get put in jail.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit and argue with some dude from Boston about humor.
All right,
You're supposed to be funny. You live in Boston. What are you doing?
What are you doing, bro? Working out? Hopefully.
Cool. Yeah, I also thought about putting something like I forgot to say no homo after the joke. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, right.
Because he just seemed like that kind of broy.
That's the only way to know that I'm not gay, bro.
Yeah.
No homo.
If the videos get to a point where like a lot of people are commenting, I'll leave it and let other people do the thing. I'm not. But if it's just like two of my friends and this one asshole, I'm like, you're out of here.
I'm out. I'm done. I'm deleting your comments, sir, because I am owner. I don't know. I'm done with this. I'm done with this podcast.
Yeah, we're done, dude.
You guys are awesome. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for hanging out.
You guys know what's up. MuseMe TV. Make sure to look me up. Just Google the damn thing. I swear to God, it'll be one of the first things that pops up. Got a show coming up on Friday. I'll be on Rusty's First Fridays at Tractor Brewery. Make sure to check it out. I only got 5 minutes, so I think I'll do good. But you know how that shit goes. You guys are awesome. Make sure to give Zach a like. Go follow him on Twitter. And be kind to you guys.
Don't follow my Twitter.
Bye. Bye.